hope that you all had a refreshing tea break. And during this session, we will be distributing the forms with a small questionnaire. These forms are also your entry to the lucky dip with some very attractive prizes which will be given at the end of the day. So please do fill in the form and drop in at the registration counter or to our support staff inside the hall. So we now resume our session 2 of technical presentations, part 1, where we dive deep into the backbone of the next generation connectivity, broadband access networks, innovation in fiber satellite and 5G, and the evolving role of AI and automation in the network management. This session will touch on multiple facets of the future of broadband, from Wi-Fi 6 versus private 5G to LEO satellites, GPON, mission-critical communications, and green broadband, and integration of digital twins and smart infrastructure in connectivity planning. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite on stage our session chair, Shri Arun Agarwalji, DDG Satellite, Department of Telecommunications. Let's put our hands together to welcome our session chair, and a round of applause to welcome our distinguished keynote speaker, Srimati Padma Jaiswal, IAS, Secretary in Government to the State of Union Territories and Secretary Government of Puducherry. A very, very warm welcome to you, ma'am. I also have the pleasure of inviting our distinguished presenters for this session. Speakers, I invite Mr. Sanjay Kawale, Manager, Products Comscope India Private Limited, who is a seasoned telecom professional with hands-on experience in broadband infrastructure and product innovation. Today he will be sharing insights into emerging technologies for managing fiber networks and the AI-driven transformation of customer experience. I invite Mr. Gopakumar Krishna, Chief Executive Officer, RA Next Technologies. Mr. Krishna is leading transformative projects in the realm of neutral FTTX networks and smart infrastructure. He joins us today to speak on the theme Smart Infrastructure for Smart Connectivity through Neutral FTTX Networks, a critical area as we scale the rural-urban broadband. And we would now like to invite Mr. Rajesh Kaul, Founder and Director, LMES iConnective. Mr. Kaul has spearheaded inclusive broadband initiatives across undeserved areas. His work bridges last-mile connectivity and enterprise-grade broadband, and he will address on business models for fiber ISPs and the Wi-Fi for all movements, especially PM Vani. We also invite Mr. Vivek Narayan, who is retired DDG Department of Telecommunication and ex-Secretary NFRA. He is National Financial Authority on the regulation for auditing and accounting in India and has played a major role in promotion of rural broadband. With those words of introduction, I hand over to our session chair, Shri Arun Agarwalji, to kindly begin the proceedings of this session with your opening remarks, followed by the keynote and the presentations. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for organizing this session on a very important topic, broadband access networks, FTTH, 5G and satellites. So as we all know that now broadband have become a very, very important service, without which it has become very difficult to carry out any business activities or even our daily course. Various technologies are being used, especially mobile, as we have got in our subscriber base of about 97 crore, out of which 93 crore is through mobile, and about 4 crore is through fixed wireline. So the role of mobile 5G and 4G is very huge in the proliferation of broadband in India. About one-fourth wireless connections are over 5G. Now we have a very strong 30 lakh number of base stations, out of which about 4.86 lakh are 5G base stations. So during the last 3 years, India has witnessed the fastest growth of 5G and correspondingly of broadband. When we talk about Wi-Fi, recently the government has de-licensed a very significant chunk of spectrum for provisioning Wi-Fi services. And Wi-Fi along with FTTH is providing the actual broadband connectivity inside our homes and campuses, public places also. Satellite connectivity is already very much there. There are high throughput satellites launched by ISRO, GSAT 11, 19, and recently GSAT 20 was launched with a huge 48 Gbps capacity by NSIL, which is a PSU of Department of Space. However, because these are geostationary satellites, so due to certain issues of latency, it has not become very popular considering the economic factors also. However, as now the government has granted 3 licenses to OneWeb, Geo, and Starlink for providing this type of broadband connectivity through LEO-MEO satellites, and taking into account the worldwide trend of the proliferation of satellite broadband, like there are around 7 to 8 million broadband subscribers over satellite world over. Let us hope that India will also have a robust growth, especially in those areas where terrestrial connectivity is not available or not reliable. With these brief opening remarks, I invite our session speakers for making presentation. So first I invite Ms. Padma Jaiswal, IAS, who is Secretary, Government Puducherry. Over to Ms. Padma.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we have our first presentation, a kind request for all our exhibitors and the visitors. We would request you to kindly keep the noise at the minimum as it is disturbing our presenters here. And secondly, due to the time constraint, I would request all our presenters to kindly conclude in about 10 to 12 minutes each. And we will have question and answers in the end after all the presentations are over, if the time permits. Thank you. And over to you, ma'am. Let's put our hands together to welcome our keynote speaker.
Organizers of this broadband conference, Bharat exhibitions, and the esteemed speakers on the dais, and all the esteemed dignitaries who are present of the dais, the members from the industry, and various internet solution providers. So we are here to today discuss and deliberate upon the various broadband options which are available in our country so that we can progress and we can develop our GDP numbers. Now broadband plays a very important role, and India has always been a forefront of this particular initiative, as we have already developed the digital public infrastructure in the form of identities, creating our unique identities, and also in terms of various kind of other these payments, the payments platform of UPI. So our digital infrastructure is very robust, and it has been acclaimed worldwide that India possesses a very good digital public infrastructure. But at the same time, we need to concentrate on the hardware aspect also. Now, technology has made so many strides. Now, I remember way back in 2008, when only 2G or 3G were in vogue, and 2G or 3G took 8 years to get launched and to get get penetrated and percolated in the various nook and corners of the country. But now then after 2015, we had launched, 3G and 4G and now 5G. So all these technologies took very little time to progress and develop. It's now on an average, we are taking 2 years or 3 years to, imbibe and immerse ourselves into these technologies. And now, as our chairperson also has said, that the government has de-licensed the 6G also, Wi-Fi band also. So this is a great initiative which has been taking place. But now we have to pay attention toward the prospects that this particular development which is taking place, it should be unified and it should be uniform. Because as from the government data, we have noted that the broadband percolation is quite progressive when it comes to urban places, and whereas in the rural places, the development is very patchy. The thing is that now I come from Puducherry. At present, I am posted in Puducherry. Puducherry has been a pilot, the place where the pilot projects of Government of India takes place. So we have implemented, Government of India has implemented the fiber project, the various kind of 5G projects, FTTH cables, and all the project, the submarine laying down of submarine cables in Puducherry. So out of the feedback that we have received after implementing the pilot projects of Government of India, I will just share my evaluations from those experiences. Now it has been seen that there are two aspects where we have to go for wireless or wire-free, Wi-Fi. Now the thing is that we have indoors and we have outdoors. Now from the outdoors, the fiber cable network or the wire broadband is suitable. But once we come inside the indoors, these cable network plays a very little role. So we have to really develop the gadgets which are very Wi-Fi friendly, which are friendly very wirelessly. And throughout the world, if you see the development, my corporate counterparts will appreciate that around 18 billion gadgets have been, invented, which are totally Wi-Fi, which are Wi-Fi friendly. Now, by Google or by Microsoft, so many corporate sector, they are implementing more and more of Wi-Fi gadgets. Now, whether it is in the sector of health or whether it is in the sector of manufacturing, 3D manufacturing, or to maintain a critical infrastructure. And even in the defense installations, now we have seen this Sindoor operation which has taken place. Now, Wi-Fi played a so major role in, all these kind of, in this warfare. So, Wi-Fi is here to stay. But whatever our experiences in the field shows that we are more prone to, still the application of the Wi-Fi in our society has to go a long way. We have to be very friendly and we have to be more prone towards the instruments which are Wi-Fi friendly in nature. Now, government has launched one program called PM Vani. Now, PM Vani, in that program, the government has totally de-licensed it, and the Wi-Fi is totally de-licensed, and the 6G is even launched in the coming days. So now we have seen that the operators which have been given the licenses to run this particular access points, the success has not been up to our expectations. This is because our India is very heterogeneous and diverse in nature. After every 10 kilometers, the diversity and the demographics of the place changes. So therefore, we have to come out with various decentralized solutions. With the uniform solutions will not be able to will not be so much applicable and will not be so much immersive in Indian environment. We have to create the decentralized solutions for each and every point. Now, when I come to South, I am coming from South India. In South India, the Wi-Fi application is much more friendly. People are very much friendly and they have even immersed themselves in the Wi-Fi experiences. But as we go towards the other states, like the northern states, we see it has long way to go. Now, one experiences that we have shared is about, like this sachetization of the services. Now, they say that if PM Vani has to be successful, the sachet, like, the way we have the sachets solution for our other, consumer products, like, for example, shampoo and other kind of, body wash and all that, we develop sachets so that it can be applicable in the rural areas. In the similar way, we have to come out with a sachetization concept in our Wi-Fi also in the rural areas and northern area part of our country, so as to make the Wi-Fi more immersive. This is the experiences which we have experienced out of the implementation of this PM Vani project. But the government is, really trying to complement, to create a kind of policy mechanism, the spectrum allocation in the way so that these Wi-Fi lines and Wi-Fi, this all gets converged, and they are complementary each other, and they are not competitive with each other. But it will be better for the economy if the implementation of Wi-Fi gazettes will be more promoted and more accepted in our society, and for which we have to work towards it. And there are other speakers also from which I have to gain the insights, and I have to learn from their experiences. They are from the corporate sector and from the other section of the society. So I had to share this, and still the deliberation is going on, and I will share my insight in the due course of time. Thank you so much.
Providing details about the Puducherry's project on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a very important technology, and the government is also promoting it, as evident from the recent delicensing of the spectrum. Now I invite Mr. Sanjay Kawale to make his presentation.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. So, thank you, sir. Here we are talking about broadband, and it's really great to learn about the requirements, expectations from various parts of the organizations and countries. Like you can see the administrative officers talking about some requirements. There's BSNL, there's everybody talking about it. Generally, what I find, we have a presentation. Excuse me. We have oh yeah, good. Yeah, I can see it now. Okay. So, generally what we're talking about is the broadband, and broadband generally people talk about is the first thing that comes to mind is active. So we have heard people talking about active and automations into active. If you divide that broadband experience from only in the two categories of wireless and wireline, I will be focusing more upon wireline. And inside the wireline also there is active and passive. So generally because we focus on active, like we spoke about zero touch provisioning in the morning, we spoke about experience of customer, automations and all that. So I'll be focusing more upon the passive part of it. I'll be going very fast here because these are all the basics that we have been using, but touching back the basics is what is giving us the solutions and also leading us to the problems that we have as of now. So we have solutions available for us for serving the broadband customer by using a centralized network. Here centralized means the first level of splitter is always at one of the main location from where everything is connected. Then we have distributed network, then we have cascaded. Generally in our solutions in India, we are using cascaded one. In the cascaded also there are various types of solutions, like you have a daisy chaining one, which follows one cable and goes from one home to another home, one building to another building, and then to the home. Then we have cascaded indexing. This is something which I am going to propose as a new generation solution for old generation practices and the problems because of that, and the challenges that we have in our field as of now. Then we have cascaded taps. So as we heard Padma Madam talking about in the villages, and we have infrastructure already laid into the ground, and we have villages to connect. So we are running short of fibers. It's not only for the government organizations, but even for the private organizations. We're always running short of fiber, and putting a fiber is always challenging. So this is one of the solutions, cascaded tap, which can be used into a solution where we need to connect villages, village panchayats, right? So these are the things that I'm going to talk about. Each of these is followed by a separate slide, but I'll rush through that because I'll be just touching the most important thing of it. So this is one which we have been using for a long time. This is our centralized solution. We all love it because all the equipments which we need to manage are at one location, but then lots of fibers are going into the network, which is always a challenge in terms of cost and ROW and things like that. So this is one of the solution. We are not really using it much. This is very useful when you have a very centralized, controlled environment everywhere. Coming to the solution part of it, since it is a very high density network, you need bigger fiber cables, you need bigger splitter enclosures, you need everything which is bigger in size to handle those many numbers of fibers. And that is why most of the operators are not really following this method. But these are all ITUT recommended solutions. Then we go to a distributed architecture. Yes, we like this because now the splitters are going away from the OLTs and getting into the ground. So what happens is the fiber required from the optical line termination to the splitter is distributed, and hence the number of fibers getting into the distribution network are reducing, or they are starting from a different point. So you have different points to start your fiber with a lesser fiber count, and that solves the problem from the topology perspective, coverage perspective, and also helps you to manage it effectively. The only challenge is now you have multiple points to manage where we have the S1s deployed across. So this is one more solution. The saving, we save a lot of fiber in the distribution by distributing the S1. That's summary of this particular slide. Since now the fiber counts has reduced, the fiber cable reduces count, fiber count reduces, the enclosures and the boxes becomes little smaller, easy to handle. The end point almost remains the same because they are the ones which are serving the building, and they almost remains the same. Coming to the cascaded star architecture, in this you are using one splitter and using the splitted output to cascade further. This is one of the most popular method and which has been prevailing everywhere. We have been using this for all the solutions across. People can use 1:8 by 1:8, which is the standard solution. You can go for 1:4, 1:16, or whichever split you want based upon the location that you have and the bandwidth plan that you want to offer. If you are using 64 split, definitely you can give 40 Mbps as a guaranteed bandwidth, and then using concurrency you can go up to 100 Mbps. But if you have a premium customer, you want to give minimum 100 Mbps guarantee, you can choose a different split ratio and do it. But the fundamental remains same. The architecture is a cascaded one. You use the first S1, use the splitted output to cascade further into the deeper into the geography. So this is one solution. In this, you not only save the fiber, you get best of the both. You have a centralized, you have a decentralized, you have reduction of fiber, you have distribution of topology, everything. It's possible to make star network from here. We can make a ring network from here. You can make star plus ring plus blur, anything you can make it. So it's that easy to manage. So this is one of the most popular solutions that we have been using. Now, because it's one of the most popular, definitely it brings in a lot of other benefits. Not only the cable reduction, but all the other enclosures and joint closures become almost common to what we have been using in the past for our OFC network. And that is why it becomes very attractive for everybody, that I can use almost the same network elements that I was using, just using the other FTTH related network elements separately, and I can do it. So it becomes like a common usage of joint closures into both the domains of NLDs and optical fiber coming into the FTTH. So that's why this is the most popular one. Now coming to cascaded daisy chaining. Now this is the one which, if you look at FTTH network and all the ITT recommendations, it's basically a linear network. It's not something like what we have been seeing in SDH, which had a ring, or in IP you can say you can make a lot of rings and resiliency. But FTTH basically is a linear network. So if it is a linear network, we can as well use a single fiber, do a midspan, drop the fiber required, go ahead and make a daisy chaining. So in this, what happens is you get not only fiber distribution but a low fiber count, because now you are only dropping the required fiber in that building. So if you have a small building where you don't expect more than 8 homes, one fiber can be dropped, go ahead. So if you are using a 24 fiber or a 48 fiber cable, it can go straight into many buildings till it drops, say 24 or 48 splitters. If you want to keep some as a standby, yes, you can always. That's going to be a normal network planning rules, right? So almost same elements are used here, and we can do it. But what is happening is, all this while, we have been talking about what we have been doing for a very long time, and that we call splicing. Because fiber and splicing goes hand in hand. We always think about fiber and splicing as a solution, right? So whatever I spoke till now is a splicing solution, correct? So what is happening? Everything is good, we have no problems, but what is happening is, I am not getting the speed of deployment. Many times I get stuck because of fiber planning, right? Ease of deployment, again the same thing. Where to put fiber, what kind of fiber, where to use, and all that. Then again, time and cost of splicing. Like My experience is that you deploy a network on one day and then you wait for the splicer to come and splice, right? So splicing cost and time is always a challenge for me. Then because of that, a skilled labor requirement. And what is happening during all these things, if there is a small mistake in planning, we are likely, I'm not saying in all the cases, not get a right connection at the first time. I mean to say, the person goes to home, connects it and finds that there is no power. Or he goes and connects it, but he is connected to some wrong port which he was not supposed to. Maybe he's landing into another OLT port. So it can all happen. So all is well. I'm very happy with my splicing, but I still have problems. And one of the problems that I have not mentioned here, I said, which I learned just about a month back. Now when the fiber capacity is going almost out of hands, multiple lands are getting collected together, becoming a bigger plot and becomes a building of 8 floors, 16 floor, 20 floor. Sudden burst of requirement, the capacity enhancement required, which is also called as choking by one of the operator, that his GPON network and fiber network is choked, is also a big problem. So, shall we keep doing the same thing or shall we try something new, right? And that's why I said, as I hear from people, that there are challenges. And every time I hear something, it gives me a new idea. So this is one of the challenges we saw. And we come up with a simple solution. Now we can call it automation here. We can use the word automation here. But in the passive domain, that automation doesn't really mean that you have machines and servers and things, coming in and giving you prompts. Here the automation simply means we have cables which are defined at both the ends, and hence they are smaller, easy to deploy, easy to connect, no splicing required, very fast, very, very easy to do it. So this is one of the solutions. We call it plug and play solution in a normal language. The trademark name by the CommScope is FLX, Flexible ODN, right? What does it give you? First thing, in our old network, we were having 608 splicing done in a particular sample area of 2,000 homes by a 16-port OLT. Now, if you use this particular solution, you will have only 32 splicings. Because there are splicing only at the first location, there are no splicing at the second location. And the number of locations where you really need to do splicing is 16, not 144. So you are actually controlling the whole timesheet. And hence it becomes very easy and fast to deploy. So this is what we call FLX ODN. Now this is little bit more in details. We can also see this video playing at our CommScope stall, which will explain everything more in details. I think we can. Oh, it's there. So 1 minute only, so we can spend time here. So this is our S1 location, and this is our S2 location. You just take the cable and the connection and continue. You just need to do splicing only at the first location. Thereafter, it's only connect, 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 click, click, click. You go and connect it first location. Your first pad S2 is ready, and then just go on connecting. Just click into the last pad, and the next pad is ready. And the distribution. Now here I say why I am using the word automation, because the distribution of fiber for the next pad is done inside this connector. So you don't have to worry about which fiber is going to where. The moment you connect the next FAT, you get the next fiber. So if this FAT is on number 7, you will get 7 fiber. If this is on 8, you will get 8 fiber. Automatically you will get that fiber number. You don't have to manage any documents here. Now the best thing is, because there are some fibers which are unused, they were used at the first location, the unused fiber were there. We are feeding from the reverse direction and upgrading the capacity on the same fiber cable, making it 2x. That's the beauty of this. So that's why I said it's kind of automated connections which can give you capacity expansions capability at the same locations when you have suddenly a plot turning into a flat scheme. So very easily you can upgrade.
So,
Yeah.
Sanjay ji, is it over?
Yeah, just the last one. So and when we do a comparison of a real network within India, we found that we can save almost 36% of the cost when we build it. we can save almost 57% of the time, and this is already a mature technology which has been used all across the globe in a different form. For India, we have made it an hardened, cost-effective solution, but otherwise it has been used and proven one. Just the last, because I said that one fiber I wanted to talk about, that single fiber is very important for a rural connectivity. So for a rural connectivity, when we are running short of fiber cable, this is one solution where you can start from the S1, go to S2s using a single fiber. So if you have already laid network and you have a capacity constraint on your fiber, use only one fiber, go to the next station, drop the power required, split it, connect the homes, right? So you don't need more than one fiber, you can keep on connecting it. And this is specifically proposed for a rural connectivity. We call it a tap solution. So with that, I think I should wind up. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Sanjay Kawale, Comisco. He has emphasized on the passive solution for leveraging OFC for providing broadband connectivity. Now I invite Mr. Gop Kumar Krishna from Renex Technologies to kindly make his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. So before I just start, I'll be dwelling upon the infra part. We are seeing technological advancements in device ecosystem, the back-end technology, but what about the infra? How are we laying the infra? Okay, so it's a brick and mortar kind of presentation, but I think it's very important for us to understand the role that it plays. Okay, so first let's look at how we have our buildings currently anywhere. You go to a Sarkari building, you go to a private building, you go to a residential complex, you will see that we have the shaft area which is as complex, as dirty as you see right now, because nobody has focused on this. You can't connect an unconnected with a quality service with this kind of background that's there. You want to look at a rack. Inside the rack, this is what you end up seeing, because multiple guys going there, laying the network as per their standards. It's a mess. Nobody knows which network is whose. Okay, they themselves don't know. We look at a fat box. Again, the story continues. Okay, so there is a challenge that is there currently in the existing buildings, existing setup, and this challenge continues for the new buildings as well. Okay, because most of the country is still going in the same way. The regulatory norms are there, but the respective follow-up is, I would say, not in a great standards. Okay, so this is the manhole which is outside a building to where an operator brings their fiber. And from this manhole, the connectivity to the building starts. So you go to a manhole today, it's a mess. It's very difficult to connect. So this delays the overall connectivity issue in the country today. Okay. So the result of that one is that there are multiple fat boxes in each building, each shaft. So it's all mess. It's all clutter. Okay. What is the way forward for this? The way forward for this is to look for what we call, or what even the government calls, as a structured FTTX neutral network. That is the simple way forward. In the next 5-7 minutes, I will just cover a glimpse of this, and a bit more details can be seen from our booth when you guys come there. Okay. So traditionally, a structured network will look like this. So as you can see here, this is a depiction of a multi-tower complex where you put up a single fiber in each tower. The yellow line shows that. It goes to each of the flats, and then it is supported by a ring architecture, so that if you have a fiber cut in one area, your services are not disrupted, okay? And then this network has the capability to go beyond the FTTX. It can serve multiple building management services there. It can offer you intercom, video door phone, surveillance. Think of whatever can make a building a smart building. All of it can run on this single network that can be laid. Okay, and as you can see, the fiber that's coming in the blue box below is where an operator can come and connect to this building. Now, this is a animation of this, what I said just now, and this is an animation of what I said just now. It talks about how a single fiber is laid when you see it from a graphical view, and I think the video is not playing. And that network eventually connects you to multiple devices in the building. Okay, so what happens from this is that an unstructured network, when you do it in a very structured way, it will show like this. Okay, people pay 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 10 crore, 100 crore for flats for offices. It's important that we have our infra also deployed in a very structured way. That is the way we want the connectivity to happen in our buildings. Okay, you see how racks are done, how meticulously a rack is to be installed. This is how a fat box will look like once you do it in a very professional way. And this is again a recommendation that should be followed. A manhole, which I showed you earlier, eventually turns out something like this. Okay, so what we talk about with all this is that a simplified neutral network is the way forward. A single fat box can cater to multiple requirements in that building. And that building can be a 3,000 home pass building or a 10,000 home pass building. It works pretty well. Okay, so some of the benefits that is important to understand from this, as an end user, as somebody who is residing in that office, building, or as a resident in that building, what you get is from a single network, you get multiple choice of operators there. You don't need to wait for one operator to come and lay the network there. Okay, because the network is already there, the guy has to just plug and play. Anybody can come and just connect. Okay, these are all futuristic networks. So as I said, the device ecosystem and the technology ecosystem is changing. So you need a backbone that can cater to that kind of thing coming up. A 4G, 5G, 6G kind of thing comes up, but if the infra is not good, it doesn't help. Okay, everything is possible with a single network. As I said, your home automation can also ride on it. You can get best of the devices. If you are a builder, developer, or a regulator, you obviously benefit from this single network with avoidance of a duplicity or a multiplicity of networks in that building. You are definitely gaining from a monopoly that is not going to happen in that building. Because today the advantage of an operator in the building is he gets monopoly there. A neutral network is the way forward, which helps you. It preserves this building aesthetics and city aesthetics. As I said, you are spending so much money in buying that flat, but if it's not of good quality, it doesn't help. And just now we heard since morning, multiple government services, including the public safety that we spoke, all of it is possible with a very robust infrastructure there. Okay, if you are a service provider, you get a chance to connect your first customer on day one. You don't need to wait for the occupancy level to go to a certain level to put a capex. This is already ready. The building is ready with the infra there. You get an enhanced quality of service, and your OPEX and CAPEX are also much better with a neutral network there rather than you doing it yourself. As a infra provider like us, who put up these kind of networks, you see the benefits that are coming up. So it's a mutually beneficial stuff across the spectrum that one can look at. Okay, so some of the examples that I want to show you through what's already there. So this is from DLF Downtown Gurgaon. This is how their infrastructure looks like. You know, this is an example coming from Elante Mall, Chandigarh. This is the 10th largest mall in the country. Super busy like Ambience Mall or any mall in Delhi. This is coming from Embassy Acacia in Bangalore, a very high-end enterprise building hosting multinational companies there. Again, you see how well the network is laid. And this is from Godrej, Kolkata, a residential complex, again depicting a similar kind of network that I showed. This is from Oberoi Sky City in Mumbai. This is in Borivali. It's a big complex. Again, a clean network that you see how some of these distinguished developers have adopted. And I sincerely urge the august audience to push for this in your own endeavors that you are in this capacity. Finally, a small word about us. We are a Space World Group company. We provide state-of-art FTTX neutral infrastructure. We also have a rooftop solar solution that we are deploying now in 5 cities. As a company, we have come a long way. We are a pan-India company, as you can see. We have more than 1,000 projects that we have signed up. We have association with more than 130 plus operators in the country. We have quite a lot of marquee buildings. Some of them I just showed just now. All this happened just in a span of last 5+ years. Okay. With that, I offer 2 minutes and 10 seconds to my next speaker. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Gopakumar Krishna, for discussing about the infrastructure laying and how it can be simplified and streamlined. Now I invite Mr. Vivek Narayan, my senior colleague, for making his presentation.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank BIF and Bharat Exhibitions for having given me an opportunity to address you all the persons on the dais, distinguished audience, the media. So, I'll be dwelling on a different aspect, and let me straight come to the point. So this is the status in the last 2 years. 29 lakhs to 51 lakhs rural FTTH. I'm talking about rural FTTH connections. So although there has been growth of 75% in rural areas, but the net growth is 22 lakhs, whereas in urban areas it is 96 lakhs. And overall country growth rate 45%. Now this is what I have plotted is that on the x-axis is the rural FTTH density state-wise, and on the y-axis is the growth rate. So you can say majority of the states are near the origin, that is neither there is FTTH density nor there is growth rate. But there are certain exceptions. So you can see I'll deal with each one of them individually. So broadband DOT has notified that it is 2 Mbps speed, and as per an ITU document it says that broadband access is considered affordable if it costs less than 2% of average monthly income. So I plotted this average monthly income per household I got from NABARD 2022 survey, and I plotted this state-wise to give an insight on where are the opportunities for the telecom and ISPs to invest money on. See, for example, Punjab is having the highest household income, and this in bracket is the 2% of the monthly average household rural. I am talking about rural only. So 21,842, 2% is 437 rupees. I understand that normally 300 to 400 rupees is the affordable price for a sustainable FTTH in rural areas. I think BSNL is charging 400 rupees. So growth rate in Punjab is 87% in the last 2 years. Whereas the neighboring state Haryana has a density of only 4.05, although the growth rate is high, but there is a lot of scope because the affordability almost same, 435 rupees of 2% of the average annual income, average monthly income. So people can afford FTTS there, but it is the opportunity to be seized by the operators to provide there. J&K, the FTTS density is only 0.48. I understand that the terrain is a difficult one, but still there is an opportunity because you have only 0.48% and the masses having affordability. So Goa 19.34, I'll say it is near saturation, but I don't know saturation or not, but at least the FTTS density is good. Now Ladakh, again the density is very, very less, growth rate being 143 and it is affordable 348 rupees. Kerala, the density is quite good, so I made it red. On the green states or union territories are where I am saying that there is an opportunity for the operators because the density is less and affordability is there. Tamil Nadu, it is only 3.38%. So there is a lot to improve. Maharashtra, only 1.24%. 325 rupees. Now, I'll dwell on one more important point. So Gujarat, again 309, above 300 rupees, but the density is only 1.64. See, in Mizoram it is 681%. One wonders what is happening, whether the connections are being subsidized, whether they are sustainable, but the growth rate is phenomenal. Himachal Pradesh, again, the density is less. Meghalaya, density is quite less. So this is the analysis. Now see, in these states, these are the near the origin. Neither there is density nor there is the growth rate. And the average monthly rural income is varying from 13,700 to 10,000 rupees in these places. But the density is 1.9 to 0.2%. 0.2% is Uttar Pradesh, the highest populated state in India. 0.2%. So that is, and what I am saying is that at least 5% of the population in the rural areas would be having an household income of more than 20,000 rupees or around 20,000 rupees. 5%. Even if you go by 5%, so affordability becomes 400. So there is a scope to enhance FTTS density in these states which are near the origin. And in these states itself will give around 35 lakh connections. And I am talking about affordability because if it is not affordable, it is not sustainable. There is no point in providing connections and then not being sustained. We have to give quality connections which are sustainable, which are maintainable. Now we are talking about, so this is, madam is there from Pondicherry, Puducherry, and we are having good densities there. I am not aware about the average monthly income. That data was not there on the NABARD website, but the density is 9.63 is good. Andaman Nicobar density is quite good. Now Andhra Pradesh, now, I don't know, I wish I am wrong, but the 283%, I was told that the plans offered were perhaps not sustainable. I can't vouch, this is only hearsay, I don't know. So, but anybody operators who put in their money first see that what are the existing plans and they should be sustainable, otherwise there is no point in putting the money in making unsustainable plans. So, all India rural FTTH density is 2.15 only. Although the growth rate is 75%, but I believe that at least 5% or more of the rural population would be having a good average income so that they can afford a broadband. And if you make it 5% from 2.15 to 5% rural FTTH, that would be substantial increase. Now, these are the poor states, poor in the sense that the average monthly income is low, less than 10,000 rupees. But see, even in these states, there would be certain population which is around 20,000 rupees per month per household. So they can also afford FTTH, but the present scope is there because the 92% growth rate in Bihar with the lowest income and only 0.29% of FTTH per 100 households. So there is a lot of scope. I am trying to tell the operators that this is the opportunity you can see and explore. So basically, it is not only the telecom infrastructure, other things also have to be, as we all know, market size infrastructure framework. These are the prices depend on, and the huge amount of capex and opex is involved, and even if government puts in capex, the opex has to be met from the subscribers only, because then only it will make it sustainable. And the other problem is that the population density is less and there is less average income. So what are the sustainable solutions? What are the enablers? See, first of all, electricity, road and public transport. Mr. Rahul Wirth had dwelt on this. And we have to, if we somehow increase the efficiency, quality and prominence, supply chain management from village or to the village, that will enable the villagers to use internet, because that is giving to their livelihood. And digital literacy awareness, now everybody is having that UPI on phone, so I think digital awareness is quite there. Mr. Vivek Banjal sir also dwelt on this. So role of NGOs, self-help groups and cooperatives is very vital in this. The productivity using artificial intelligence, banking services, study centers. Now photographers, what do they do in the villages? They shoot an event and in the night they upload their recordings to a studio in urban city, who then processes it and makes an album, etc. So they have data requirement. Peer pressure, family peer pressure that my neighbor has it, so I also want it. And use of internet in governance, and all village level institutions to upload their data for getting the next set of grants. Multi-utility platforms. And this August gathering, everybody knows why basically 10 times of the mobile data is the users of FTTH. So that is why FTTH is required. So basically this is what I wanted to dwell on. All this is statistics from TRI website, which one can always download. So that is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek Narayan, for making a presentation about the penetration of FTTH in rural areas, means how there can be more proliferation, what are the enablers. Now I invite Mr. Rajesh Kaul, LMES iConnect, for making his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think Vivek touched a very pertinent point with regard to the rural part of it. I come from the rural ISP background as such, very small ISP run in Rajasthan. And I'm going to share my experiences from the rural perspective and what are the changes and the dynamics which are coming into play as we move forward in this. Because there's a lot of convergence which is going to happen. What didn't happen in last 30 years, when we talk about, in fact, yesterday Secretary Telecom did touch upon that in next 2 years we're going to talk about 600,000 villages. But fact is that we are still 200,000 villages in last 30 years. So we have to connect these another 400,000 villages in next 2 years. So that's the target which we are really looking at. Where have we gone wrong is something which we really need to develop on. And if we have gone wrong, what are the corrective measures in that aspect? And that can come from the experiences which, in fact, DOT, BSNL, other operators, and a lot of ISPs who are in this business, and some have gone out of business because of non-viability of the business in that area. And probably, if we get on to those basic aspects, probably the things would be more correctly measured as we move forward on this. We all know that bridging this digital divide in the rural area is not just a technological challenge, but a socio-economical challenge. A journey from a limited access of broadband, quality broadband is complex, but recent innovations, especially in the technology, when we talked about government easing out the satellite part of it, which could also be of help, but obviously there are nuances on that end as well. And convergence strategies would really help in building up this with speed, because obviously if it would have been that simple with regard to putting up the fiber in the rural areas, probably we would have done it long back. We have been doing phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. There's a lot of support from government on that aspect of it, but we are not still being there. There are challenges in that aspect of it. And this more to do with topology, because we are a diverse country and we have very diverse networks. So obviously terrain and cost and logistic hurdles are there, and that was touched upon when we talked about that, going to these rural areas, there will be challenges in that aspect of it. Obviously, with this satellite technology coming in and with the new LEO satellite constellations, this would really bring in some kind of efficiencies in this. But we also need to look at the factor which is the cost factor when it comes to the satellite aspect of it. Whether we really will be, and one point of time we are talking about 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 rupees income from the rural households. And on the other side, we will be talking about 60,000 rupees giving upfront cost, and also looking at other aspect of paying 3,000 rupees a month for that. Probably is that the real solution? Probably they will also have to rebuild their business cases in terms of looking at whether they should be looking at community level. And that is where I am coming to, a lot of things, these new initiatives can be looked at more on the community level rather than looking at the individual single level aspect of it. That was done in the past by VSAT. They did it very efficiently, and the similar way, if the satellite companies also have an aperture antenna dish at this end, which feeds multiple users in that particular locality, probably the cost can be brought down in that aspect of it. So alongside the technological convergence, we also would be witnessing a significant evolution in the business models, because it is hand in hand. Because why we have failed is due to sustainability. One, there's little money into the rural market. Second is, customer not being able to pay to that extent, like what we talked about, 300, 400 rupees versus, I'm paying 1900 rupees per month to Airtel in an urban setup for a 300 Mbps. And we can't expect that kind of a flow in coming into the rural side of it. So obviously, there'll have to be a different business cases which have to evolve when it comes to the rural penetration. So one of the most pertinent point would be public-private partnership. Unless until that happens, this is not going to become a story. It's not government's responsibility, and it is not just private responsibility. It's government and private combination has to come into play in this. I give an example on this with regard to the motor industry. If you look at a pure car industry, they have sustained in this India particularly because they have a complete ecosystem created in that aspect of it. Means there are ancillary units which are helping them to build up their car next to their manufacturing unit as such. Similarly, we have lost that opportunity. In fact, DOT did a very bold step in terms of opening up for VNOs and ISPs, but there is no convergence on that. Unless until these ISPs and VNOs work together with operators as not a competition, but more in terms of complementing, probably the things will change in that aspect of it. And I'm seeing a lot of things changing, like infra sharing is one aspect of it. In fact, tower guys are coming to ISPs and asking that, can you share our towers on that network point of view on aspect of it. Similarly, fiber sharing will become a story as soon. In urban, it is happening. Whether in the rural it will happen, the time will tell us. Another aspect would be the open access and shared infrastructure, because this is the most important aspect. If you have an open access network, and that will help in promoting the infrastructure. Then third important is the innovative funding. If you don't have funding in this market, and the subscriber models, subscription models, because you need to be innovative in that aspect of it. If people are not able to pay 300 rupees, how do we make them, how do they pay up? Is there any other way to pay up? We tried it out in our Wi-Fi model. We started with a small 10 rupee model to a 200 rupee model, daily pack, weekly pack, monthly pack. And our story was from road to home. You started from the road with the Wi-Fi and then went to the home for the rural broadband kind of a connectivity. Obviously, another most important aspect to make it sustainable is the local content and the ecosystem. Because without local content, if you are not able to build up local content, there will be no catchers. So it's not just the broadband money. You also have to look at value addition on aspect of it. How do you value add on top of the broadband to make it more viable for both the seller and the terms of user? He also gets a value addition. Obviously, content is one aspect of it. Beyond the content, there are other areas like e-learning is there, e-health is there. The fintech story has to build up in the rural market. Somebody was talking about UPI in the rural market, but I can tell you the offtake of UPI is very bad. For them, they have to first understand the aspect of digital money. For them, that skill element has to come into play. Once that comes in, probably the story will change. And other area of converged network, as I said, that with satellite and fiber have to work hand in hand and together. It's not only fiber, but probably satellite also will play a big role in that aspect of it. Then regulatory framework. A lot of changes have been happening. 6 gigahertz is a very welcoming step by the government. This will open up a lot of new areas, especially on the Wi-Fi side of it, because that was a very critical requirement from the broadband point of view, penetration of broadband. Standards and interoperability. Have a very interoperable network in the rural market. You can't have a complex networks. And as you have complexity, the challenges will be there. Then capacity building. Now, we are also failing due to maintenance aspect of it, because I think we have learned from the past that we had MARRs, we had old traditional MARRs, we had RAXs and MAXs in the rural areas. But what happened to them? Because the backup support in terms of maintenance was not there. And you don't expect urban to be in rural. So upskilling those rural masses is a very important aspect in making this successful program. Even though you have fiber rolled out in the rural market, if fiber cuts and the person has to come from the town to do the repair of that fiber, it is not viable at all. So you need to have local skills in that aspect of it. The future of the rural connectivity, as I see, lies in the integrated, intelligent network, which we all know as such, where the fiber and the satellite will play hand-in-hand kind of an aspect. And with the data analytics, with smart 5G-enabled edge computing, because everything has to be at the edge. we had to be thinking in the same model as we did for the wireless, for the wireline. When we did the Raxes and Maxes, it was as closer to those rural areas as such. And these innovations will surely open up the villages, transform them into rural India and hub for the digital innovation, because that is where the offtake of the digital element will come in play. And we are talking about 30% population still kept aloof from the digital penetration. And I think that is a story we all have to embrace as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaul, for talking about the various measures for proliferation of broadband in rural areas. As we know that whereas the broadband connections are 56 crore in urban areas, the rural area has got only 41 crore, whereas the 65% of the population lives in rural area. So there is a huge need for proliferation of broadband in rural areas, considering that now broadband has become a very critical component of public digital infrastructure, UPI, and then this JAM Trinity. All these are based, all these require good broadband connectivity. So now we are approaching the end of the session. We can take a few questions, 2-3 questions we can take now. Please.
My question is to Madam Padma. Well, of course, taking off from Mr. Vivek Narayan's statistics, Puducherry has a lot of scope. And you are blessed with a Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Postgraduate Medical Research. The sachetization, can it be attempted in Pondicherry? If so, what will be the technical support which ComScope and others can give?
Ma'am, your mic is loud.
Thank you, sir, for the question. Actually, Puducherry is also a scattered, UT. It is scattered in 3 states, in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, and in Kerala. So, Puducherry, which is in Tamil Nadu, it is city. And whereas it is in Yanam, it is in Andhra Pradesh, it is very remote. And the similar thing goes for the Karaikal, which stays in the remotest part of the Tamil Nadu. That is also quite remote and not well connected. Now, the Government of India undertakes the project on pilot basis on 2 places. That is, one is UT of Puducherry and the other is Andamans. Before implementing the project, you must be, sir, aware of it. Now, what we have seen is that fiber was let down in Puducherry in 2019 itself, as on the pilot basis, and in Puducherry, anything which is pilot becomes implementation because of the small size. So what happened was that we have seen that in cities, the fiber has translated itself to the connectivity, internet connectivity, whereas in the other places in Yanam or in Karaikal, the broadband in terms of fiber has not been able to translate itself into the internet access or the connectivity. The main reason was that because we don't supplement and we don't complement it with the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is very difficult to establish, and moreover fiber cannot go in the very difficult terrains. It cannot go near the sea. It cannot go near, because the rural areas are very scattered. So therefore, even if the fiber goes there, it will not be able to serve many people. It is very scattered. So what we have seen is that the Wi-Fi has to be complemented, and for this the various access points have to be generated, and the access points has to be done by the service provider. Now, sir, one more problem that we have faced in the field is that either in India, either we have big telcos or we have only these small internet service providers which are operating at the local level. Now, because the middle cap companies are not there, because they have not been able to face the telcos, big telcos, so therefore we are only left with 2 options, either big telcos like Jio, or we have just, these small localized inter-service providers. So that is the only point, but still, sir, we have to go a long way in providing the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is very critical. All the instruments that is coming, that we can see in terms of health, education, military establishment, everything is Wi-Fi friendly. And so the fiber has to be converted, the Wi-Fi has to be into, the connectivity and internet in the rural areas. This is a challenge, sir. Yes.
That will be the last question, sir.
Yeah, so Please, next question.
Actually, it's more of a comment and an operational issue. I'd like to compliment Mr. Vivek Narayan with the statistics, but operating in the Northeast, the three states that you mentioned, Mizoram, Arunachal, and Meghalaya, I think that the challenge is in terms of designation of rural area itself. Because I think what has happened is most of the areas have been designated as rural, and that's the reason why you see such figures. Because operating there, we are operating in 8 cities in that region. We hardly see any penetration in the rural areas. Because one is the density of population is very small. So as an operator, if I have to borrow bandwidth, and these are hilly areas, so I can't take from the urban areas through RF or any other means. So if I have to take bandwidth from an operator, it's so expensive that it does not really make any sense. A lot of people would say, why not go to BBNL? Why not go to BharatNet? BharatNet doesn't exist. I'll just quote an instance which might probably tickle a few of us. We are doing the Wi-Fi implementation on BharatNet VSAT locations. Unfortunately, the serviceability is 25 to 30%. VSATs are only functional with less than 1 Mbps bandwidth. Now, Wi-Fi on less than 1 Mbps bandwidth actually has no meaning at all. So unless we look at a particular region focused, I don't see anything major happening in the future. Thanks.
I'll just comment on what he has said. I'm not contradicting. What I'm saying is that the operators report the figures to try TRAI rural and urban wise, and the figures which I have taken from TRAI only. It could be the case that certain semi-urban areas got mixed up as rural areas. That could be possible depending on what reporting has been done by the operators. But still, states like Haryana has got no reason why it should not be same as Punjab. So and UP having a FTTH density of only 0.2%. So these are areas where operators and ISPs may perhaps like to look into.
Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to close the proceedings of this session. Let's put our hands together for all those wonderful presentations we had. As I request our distinguished session chair to do the honors of presenting mementos as a token of appreciation to all our eminent speakers, we present to Mr. Sanjay Kawale. He's Manager Products, Comscope India Private Limited. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful presentation. To Mr. Gopakumar Krishna, Chief Executive Officer, RANEX Technologies. Thank you. To Mr. Rajesh Kaul, former Founder and Director, LMES, ConnectV. Thank you. And to Mr. Vivek Narayan, former DDG DS, Department of Telecommunications. Thank you. I would invite on stage Mr. Shashidharan, MD, Bharat Exhibitions, to do the honors of presenting a token of appreciation to our chair, Shri Arun Agarwal, and Shri P.J. Thomas, IAS, former Secretary, Department of Telecommunications, to do the honors. We also present to our keynote speaker, Srimati Padma Jaiswal, IAS, Secretary to Government to the State and Union Territories, and Secretary, Government of Puducherry. And may I request for a group photograph of the complete panel. And ladies and gentlemen, before we close the proceedings, two announcements. First, we would like to bring your attention to Astrome. Astrome is a deep tech wireless communications company showcasing the wireless backhaul, satellite terminals and satellite modem solutions at their stall which is at the rear end of this hall in the exhibition area. Please do take out some time from your event proceedings and do visit their stall of Astrom. And secondly, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget about the lucky draw. I hope you all have filled in the small format, the small questionnaire form that we had given to you. Please do spare some minutes, fill it. There's a separate form for each session. You need to give it separately for each session. For this session, please fill in the form, give it to either at the registration counter or to our support staff seated next to the stage. Thank you. We will have the lucky draw at the end of the event. Thank you once again. And so enjoy your lunch and kindly be back by 2 o'clock for the next session.